What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. We're recording this on Sunday, June 8th, to discuss RIFC's 1-0 home USL Championship loss to Miami FC. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube. And if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and smash the like button on this video as it helps more people find our channel. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review. Again, it helps more people find our podcast, helps it get in front of more RFC supporters, USL Championship supporters, and helps everything grow. One last plug, if you're not already, go check out RFC Club Collector and enter the code TIDETALK25, all lowercase, all one word, to get an exclusive pack added to your collection today. So cozy up, crack a beer. Hands is lagging, so I don't know if he's cracking something or whatnot, but there it is. We heard it. Let's dive into this one. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Matt Hands, and Defiant 1636 Presidente Irvin Vargas, who did not want to be on camera today because his mustache is curling up on one side. But I'll start with you, Irvin. How's your Sunday been, my friend?
It's been good, man. Sunday has been great. Went to go watch a movie today, and spend a little time with the missus, and just had a nice, easy Sunday. Shout out to everybody who also had a great Sunday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I know the loss was a bit crap, but hope everybody had a terrific Sunday. On to the weekdays.
Oh, wait on. Sarah says, somebody better tell Hands to pay for better Wi-Fi. Hands, why do you not have that gigabit connection? Why are you still lagging on dial-up, brother?
I have no idea. I plead the fifth.
There you go. How was your Sunday, Mr. Hands?
Yeah, it was good. Spent time with the family. It's my mom's birthday yesterday, so went to their house. Other than that, slow, lazy Sunday. It's always good.
Always good. Happy birthday to Senor Manos. We absolutely love it. I came out of retirement again from last weekend. I got to ref Zach's Superliga match today. Shout out to Scott Bear. Good to see him. Zach played against his son. And Scott told me that I was the most consistent ref he's seen in the last 2 years. I know Scott spends a lot of time watching the USL Championship and its quality and standard of officiating, so I am proud to be at the top of that list. So really good. I'm gonna stop going to these games because reffing and watching my son play does not coincide, but I sweated more than I expected to during that one, and I wasn't really there for it. But we got Ryan is in the chat tonight. Ryan's on a plane over God knows where right now, so incredible. Happy he has the free Wi-Fi and is able to join in this one. I know a lot of people are pretty upset about last night and the way things transpired and the way the result went, but we'll dive into that one. We'll talk about the match, and we'll talk a little bit more big picture, kind of issues surrounding this team, as we did get some news post-match as well that we want to share. But a lot of things going on right now. Atlantic Ocean, Ryan says. That's right. He's going on like a Viking cruise or a river cruise with all the old people, so he'll have a blast going forward there. But we'll start, as we always do, with the lineup on this one, and it was pretty much as to be expected with Quizera being out, and Koke also on the injury report. You had Jackson Leonet, Aldair Sanchez, Frank Nodarce, Grant Stoneman, and Jaime Mabika across the back line. Amos Shapiro-Thompson, Clay Holstad, Noah Fuson, Zach Caraval, Maxi Rodriguez, and Albert Chico Diqua. Irvin, pretty much the 11 you expected to see for this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty standard from these guys going into this. I mean, from what you can see from FootMob, it was a big expectation that we were going to win this one. Definitely more towards the tie, if anything. But I mean, it was not one of those games where we thought that we were going to lose, especially with the people that we have. I mean, we have really talented players that, definitely can hold us. Not having Koke in the net is, it hurts, especially as he's our capitan. Pero, Lee is amazing. He's awesome. So this lineup definitely didn't shock me at all. Shout out to Isaac for coming back from injury. I'm really happy to see him back on the field. So King Isaac is back. El Puerto Riqueño is back up and running, so hopefully we see more of him as well. But other than that, yeah, this lineup is pretty much the standard stuff that we're pretty much used to.
How about you, Hans?
Yeah, I agree. There was a thought in the lot before the game when it came out that maybe we could go back to the old, 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. You want to put it with you know, Noah back, which I was kind of hoping for, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the players that we expected to be out there. Other than Pika, I wasn't sure, obviously, with him being out last game or on the availability report anyway, if he was going to if he was going to be there. It's good to see him there. Yeah, I mean, pretty standard is what I think we expect.
Yeah, I think obviously the Quizera Rwanda call up, was a big miss. Obviously, we're still without JJ, and I think this was a game that really would have kind of screamed for JJ with what was going on with the kind of shakiness of Miami's back line and everything they had to offer. But pretty much just what we would have expected, kind of the best we had to offer. We'll talk about subs in a little bit because there were a lot of kind of talk about what transpired with some substitutions as far as kind of chasing this one. But to kind of put it in a nutshell, first half stats were pretty kind of eye-catching when you go back and look at them. Miami had 55. I'm sorry, we had 55% possession. We outshot Miami 10-6. They only had 45%. 5 shots on target for IFC to just 2 from Miami. They completed 152 passes at 84%. We completed 174 at 82. We committed 6 fouls, so there are 5, and we had 7 corners to their 2. The Chick-fil-A corner kick rant and posting kind of went on at nauseum throughout this first half. And Irvin, what were your overall thoughts on the first half? And before I give it to you, I'll actually kind of start a little bit. So sorry to false pretense you there, but very much enjoyed being a full sicko. In the supporter section front row on this one, we heckled Bill Hamid to no end. Myself and Naren went absolutely ham on him. He had a hell of a game. He actually, I think, was the reason that Miami kept a clean sheet for this one. He had quite a few really good saves and was very well organized back there. We were chanting for Felipe the whole time. And, if you think back to the 8-1 thrashing and we made Felipe cry last year at Bern, it was pretty telling. But their keeper, was a good sport through all of it. He smiled, he waved, he kind of took it all in stride. But the atmosphere, I'll start with, in the supporter section was pretty incredible from the opening get.
Yeah, I mean, as always, we try to bring the best environment we can, rain or shine. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's why we say that we're the best supporter group in New England, by far. But I mean, we do our best to kind of bring that passion as much as we can. Besides the first half, I think besides heckling Hamid and taking the piss out of Felipe, who literally is on the bench, I told people, go run to the bench and go say hello. So that was more funny stuff that we could have done. But yeah, the first half, we showed we wanted to score. I mean, from the get-go, the first 10 minutes of the game, it looked like we were already going to absolutely nail it, actually get a goal, and we outshot them. We had better possession. We looked like we were supposed to already win this game. Everybody had it in their head. This is the game we're going to win. This is the game they're going to win. And just judging by that first half, we already looked like we were going to win. It looked like Dikwa looked a whole lot better than the time that he was there. And it looked like he just needed that one single touch to just bounce it right in, boom it right in, whether it was his foot or with his head. And even with those corner kicks, I mean, we looked dangerous. Those should have gone in. One solid header, and those would have gone in. One solid just dink in there, and it would have gone in. So to say that the first half wasn't hopeful for us is definitely a lie. That was a great first half. And then going into the second one, we'll talk about that one. But I mean, first half, I say that the team did what they were supposed to do. They showed us that they wanted to score, and that was better than what we've been seeing.
if somebody was going to score in the first half, it was most definitely us. I think if you looked at some of those Chick-fil-A corner kicks, I'm doing my best to do the live slides just to make Ryan happy as he flies over the Atlantic Ocean right now. Do my best in live hacking it up. But if somebody were to score, it was most likely going to be RFC. If you looked at the way Miami held, grabbed, and pulled Mabika and Frank on those first half corner kicks, like you had to have thunk if we had a more competent official, we would have at least gotten one penalty in there. We'll talk about another penalty shout as we get going into the second half on the, or a little bit later in the first half on this one. But we were threatening in the air, they were holding, they were pulling, and nothing absolutely happened on this one. So, Hans, your overall thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, I mean, first I have to point out, of course, I'm obligated to point out the closest to scoring on those corners was definitely Frank. No, but he had that header on goal that Hamid saved. But no, Mabika was good too. But yeah, I've been saying for a little while that we should be scoring off corners. And I think Kano said that actually after the game too. That's one of many things. But yeah, like we have the size there. We should be getting some of those. Outside of that, in the first half, I think I mean we were the better team, but again, it goes down to not converting your chances and not taking advantage, and then going into half 0-0 when we should have been at least a goal up at that point. And that always kind of seems to cost us. And obviously that foreshadowing, that happened here. But yeah, I mean, we created some chances there, but it's just, we can't convert anything. We just kind of fall apart.
I will say, I will also add, I think you guys, Irvin, definitely, and Matt, you kind of touched upon it as well. Chico got on the end of some really good balls there, and he was, fractions away from scoring in the first half on this one. I know he's been the recipient of a lot of heat on social media to start, and we'll talk about that as a overarching broader subject a little bit later in this one. But he was getting in good spots. I think a lot of his service was he was the beneficiary of how well Amos played. So Irvin, can you talk a little bit about Amos and how he kind of grabbed this game by the scruff in the first half and even continued into the second half, and was really that, I like to call him Mighty Mouse in the midfield. He's everywhere. He flies to the why am I drawing a blank on the Ted Lasso comparison? There you go. He is the Roy Ken. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Amos is so much fun to watch, and I know we'll talk about him when we talk about post match and kind of what transpired post match. But talk a little bit about Amos's performance and why he won Defiant 1636 man of the match.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear. Like, there is a saying that I like to say, and I think I said it a lot when at the end of the game. We'll touch base on that as what happened at the end of the game as well. But I think that he, out of all people, in a Spanish term, it says "ponyo huevos," which means like he freaking played with balls. He played with grit. He played until the very end. Like, you could see him running up and down, and he just did not stop. The guy, literally, if he could throw a goddamn punch at these guys, he would have. He played with grit. Like, he played like he wanted to win, and I think that him winning it was just that determination. Like, he sweat. Like, he showed sweat on the shirt. Like, and that's one thing that we want to see. We want to see lazy players just hanging around. If you sweat, then you showed us that you put in the 90 the same way we put in 90 in the stands. And he definitely deserved that the paddle. I know that the loss definitely hit him hard, but I feel like out of all people that were on the field, I think Amos, and I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been seeing Amos be that guy. He is that guy. He is. I think somebody made that comment yesterday. I think you guys probably touching base on it. Like, he is our Roy Kent. Like, he's definitely the man who's just, he's here, he's there, he's every fucking where. Like, he's definitely there. So Amos, I think having him being our starting guy, he's got to be that guy. Like, I feel like I like that grit, and again, I always love that like grittiness of football that comes with like Central South American style, and he has it. As one would say, es un gringo, pero like he freaking plays with freaking determination. Juega con huevos.
Gringo especial. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he is invited to that carne asada. That's for sure.
That's it. He's totally invited to the cookout. Matt Hands, hop in on Amos.
Yeah, I think I think players like him and Clay really stick out for their energy, right? And we obviously saw a lot of it from Clay last year. Amos not so much, obviously due to injury, but yeah, we're seeing that from him now. I think he added some more quality to his game in this one. I think he's a lot of. I think he's been a lot of safe passing, short passes, but I feel like he was a lot better going forward. And a lot of that, I'm sure, has to do with like what he's being asked to do out in the field, right? Especially with like Cruzera out, he took up those wide spots a lot. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's awesome. Absolutely deserved man of the match, like 100%. No one else was even close, in my opinion. So yeah, I love what he brings out there, and I think he needs to. We got to find a way to have him start. He needs to start.
Right on. We'll talk a little bit about the starting, because we got into a friendly debate with our friend Ewan on Twitter about this. But before we do that, I do want to jump in a little bit on SofaScore, which has Amos's heat map. So if you take a look at this right here, that is Amos's heat map. Obviously, he concentrated on the left side of the pitch in attack, but pretty hot all over for this one. People talked in the chat about him running his socks off on this one, and he absolutely did. Like Irvin said, he's a player that leaves it all on the pitch and was able to do just an absolutely incredible job throughout this one. I'll kind of give my take about the holding midfielder position and what we've been kind of running out and what we've been seeing versus what we had last year a little bit later on. But we'll kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about the second half on this one. And I think one of the bigger kind of incidents, if you will, in the second half was that penalty shout where there was the fall on Frank at the edge of the box. So we'll start with you, Irvin. I know you bounced around to 205 a little bit, and you walked around to kind of see what the sound was like throughout the stadium, but don't know how well you caught this from your angle from behind Jackson Lee's goal on this one. It certainly looked like a penalty. It certainly looked like he was in the box. But in watching back and kind of seeing it a little bit later on, do you think Frank going down should have been a penalty, or was the free kick on the edge of the box warranted?
I mean, so I think I think I didn't go up there for when it happened, because I did turn around and say, "Oh my God, that's a penalty! That's a penalty! Somebody called this as a penalty." So from my angle, I was still in the back of the net, so I was definitely in the supporter section. But I from my view, I don't know what the hell the refs saw, but honestly, sometimes you can't really trust these refs. It was a penalty for me. It should have been un penal. So to not have had that and to just given that outside of the box is just like, God damn it. It's like we're never gonna we can't get a break. So I mean, he might have saw something different. He might have saw that one pinky toe outside the box, which gave him the the free kick instead of the penalty. But like, I don't know, man. It's very much it was I don't know. To me it should have been a penalty, but I mean to others that might have been closer there, it might have been a whole different story. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
We've got a lot of people in the chat saying 100% Stonewall penalty, including our friend Martin Bennett, who said, I watched it again today. Even the commentators said we were robbed. Matt Hands, Ryan likes to call 205 the tactical view of the game, as you kind of see like the X's and O's. If you were to like take the dry erase board, if you will, and kind of look at the game from overhead. So from the tactical view up in 205, what was your take on this one?
Yeah, as for the penalty, I'm gonna. Ryan's correct, but also, despite the great view in 205, I couldn't really tell from where I was sitting in real time. But I do think after the fact, after looking at it, today, like on a replay, like, yeah, should have been a penalty, 100%. And yeah, it sucks because we can't catch a break. And I know that, like, it's tough. Like, those that are right on the edge, I feel like they often don't give the penalties for those because, you'll see a lot of, like, I've seen a lot of games, a lot of plays like that across all different leagues, whatever, where it looks like someone goes down the box and it's like, oh no, it's technically like just outside the area. Maybe that's what the ref was thinking, but yeah, I mean, it should have been a penalty, and yeah, could
I
have
will
been level.
I will also add, somebody talked about the Chico offside calls in the first half, and some of them were so damn tight that, like, obviously in a league without VAR, you have to wonder. But it's funny how quick the flag goes up on some of them.
Yeah, we
And
need that semi-automated offside.
yeah,
USL's gotta pony up and pay for that.
that's it. But we'll take a look in the 54th minute as Miami FC got on the board first for the only goal in this one, coming off a free kick. And we'll talk about the events that transpired leading up to this free kick and some a little bit after. But here's the goal that put Miami up and the only goal in the match to make it 1-0.
From the free kick, oh, it squeezes through, and it goes all the way in from Sebastian Blanco. And Miami's persistence at the start of the second half pays off.
Quality on this roster. The longer you let them stay in a game, the more likely you're going to give them an individual moment to shine. And my goodness, was that a perfect low-driven ball to the side netting, getting it just around the wall.
So, to quote my good friend Timmy Sclafani on this one, the commentators glazing this free kick, I think, is totally unwarranted, as it wasn't really a very well struck ball. I'm never a fan of the 2-man wall. I always like to see at least 3 people in there. Jackson did spend a good amount of time. Zach was the one who was facing goal and getting the directions on where to set up. But he did get a hand to it. I do agree he should have saved that. I think looking back as a professional, as a keeper, Jackson would admit to you the absolute same. But just the goal itself, not the best kick, not the best defensive, setup to potentially block it. But the foul that led to it, I think, was the bigger problem, as the ball was just towed out of bounds leading up to it, and a foul was called completely unwarranted. Hervao, after the goal goes in, goes face to face with the ref, arguing about it, gets a yellow card. Totally warranted. Absolutely, I think one of the greatest yellow cards we've seen in RIFC history. You saw that fight. You saw that passion from Zach. As a competitor, something I absolutely love to see. But the wall itself was the first thing that bothered me outside of the call. Irvin, your thoughts on this whole free kick, goal, and everything that transpired leading to it?
I mean, to me, it looked like it could have been saved pretty easily. I mean, or at least put a hand on it. From what I saw, he did. I think he touched it just a little bit.
He got fingertips on it.
Yeah, he definitely put a little bit of fingertips on it. Not enough to stop it. So I mean, maybe that's just it was just enough. But yeah, the wall should have been at least one more person. I feel like if you're in a position where you
that
need
close,
to block,
right? You
right,
need
that close, you need to have a little bit more than just 2 guys. It's like, I don't know why they didn't have someone at least under their feet. If you're gonna do something stupid like that, just have another person there. But yeah, it's just goals like that happen. It's stupid goals, and they just got lucky on it. I mean, that's all I really can say. Jackson just did not set himself up to save it. I mean, he just a little bit of fingers on it, but I mean, just not enough. So I mean, goal's a goal, but it definitely wasn't the best way to set themselves up, especially for a set piece.
Sure, hands hopping.
Yeah, so I have a lot to say about it. Well, first on the foul, I think it's a foul. Like, he definitely made contact with him, but you're right, the ball went out. To me, it's the consistency of it, because I'm almost positive the same thing happened to us and we didn't get the call, where almost in a similar area, got fouled and the ball was going out just like that and didn't get the call. So inconsistency there. So regardless of what you think, they're just inconsistent. And then on the goal itself, on the free kick, so the commentator was right to say that they have quality, except that wasn't an example of it, because that wasn't a great shot. It was kind of pretty much down the middle or a little bit off center, but it's not like it was in the corner or anything. And it's one that I think Lee should have definitely saved. And yeah, as far as the wall, yeah, probably should. You have another player in that wall, it probably gets blocked with 3 players in the wall, or at least gives you a better angle to make a save. But yeah, I mean, you get both hands to it like that, you got to keep the ball out of the back of the net, and it was I think Jackson had a rough game. That and some other moments, like it didn't end up coming to anything, but he gave away a corner on a ball that was just like on the ground at his feet. He whiffed on. There's like another save he made where he kind of went down to his right, ball went the other way, which he still made the save, so good for credit for that. But kind of felt like he looked shaky at times, and we know that we've seen a lot better from him. He's not like the reason or anything that we lost the game. Obviously, like there's a lot of other other factors there, like not scoring, which has been the problem for us for it seems like forever now. Obviously, since JJ's been out, but it seems like we haven't seen JJ in like several months, even though it's been like a month and a half, however long it's been. But yeah, so I just think it was kind of rough goalkeeping, and I think that's when we should have kept out at the end of the day.
For sure. Sarah adds, I think the slip in the first 5 minutes killed his confidence. And I've said on here before, I really think backup keeper, backup catcher in baseball, backup keeper in the NHL are the hardest positions, in professional sports, because you have to be ready at the drop of a dime. And Footy New England's in here and says Lee isn't Koke. And we learned post-match that Koke has a quad strain. It's going to be out at least a month. So, I really look at, Jackson is in a really unique and opportunistic moment in his career and his tenure for RIFC, where he's going to get a month of, kind of straight starts and really can kind of carve his legacy and his next step into what he will do as far as a professional footballer. And I think that's absolutely awesome, for him, in that opportunity as a professional athlete, as a competitor, is incredible. And I think a lot of teams would, be very open to having the keeper conundrum that we have. Footy says Lee isn't Koke, but as far as the USL Championship goes, Irvin, Lee's one hell of a backup keeper to have and to be able to come in and step up in there. So, how do you see him making the most of this month or so that we're going to be without our captain?
Oh yeah, no, it's I mean, not having Capi there. I mean, I spoke to him after the game and we had a
He
good
was bummed.
conversation.
He was very
No,
bummed.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and we'll get to that. But I think that to say that we don't have a fantastic backup goalie is definitely an understatement. Like, we have a fantastic up and coming young goalkeeper who is definitely up there. I mean, when you look at other goalkeepers in the USL, their backups are usually not as, or at least in my opinion, not as good as Lee.
Right.
We have a good one here that we have a guy who is possibly MLS caliber to be able to go up there. So, we might not have Koke now, but at least we have someone that we could truly put some faith in. I mean, we definitely could put some faith into this guy. So he screwed up on this one. That's fine. All goalkeepers screwed up. Koke definitely isn't the most perfect goalkeeper either, but no goalkeeper is. So that's that comes with the job, comes with the territory. So, to give him shit right now, yeah, that's fine. We can talk and say that he screwed up, but to say that he's not going to be good throughout the season, I truly don't believe that. I think he's going to do well for the Jägermeister Cup. I think he's going to do fantastic until Koke comes back. So I think we keep at it, and in Lee we trust. That's as simple as that. We got him right here. He's our Aussie. He's ready to go.
That's it. I totally agree with that. The thing with me, you mentioned the Jägermeister Cup, and obviously we kind of control our destiny in that group right now with Hartford and Portland left. If we win one of those, we should be pretty fine. We win them both, we're obviously guaranteed to go through. It'll be interesting to see if Will Meyer does get a start in one of those going forward. I know Jason from the Cue the Smoke podcast from the Brickyard Rebellion group reached out to us when we signed Will and said, what a great guy he is, what a great keeper he is. I think he was a college roommate, and Ryan kind of dipped off Wi-Fi, so he might be able to correct my quote. But it'll be interesting to see if Will Meyer does get a stab at one of those games. Maybe it'll depend on if we win the next one and we kind of control our own destiny going forward. But I almost look at it as the cup games plus the league games is just more of a ramp up for Jackson. I said on here, and I think it was even before Ryan joined the podcast when I was just doing my solo missions. Wild to think back on those. But I don't think Jackson's best playing days will be with Rhode Island FC. I look at him moving on to, Irvin, you mentioned MLS. I look at Jackson moving on to potentially a European league. Obviously, he's a super young keeper. Keepers peak a lot later on, in their career cycle. I think Jackson's distribution, wasn't his greatest last night, but has been one of his stronger suits, and his shot stopping ability is very, very strong throughout all of his starts. And he's very much a cerebral player. You talk to him post match, he understands the game. He knows, the mistakes. He knows what happens. He's incredible to talk to. If you've never gone down to Autograph Alley, I think they've dubbed it in this one at Tidewater, go down, talk to Jackson. It's incredible to hear the accent. He's always asking, where's the shoppy? So he can go sign kids' shirts. It's absolutely awesome. But he is a very young keeper. And like I said, keepers tend to peak a little bit later on. I think this next month and a half stretch, however long Koke's out, could really kind of catapult him into what his next career step as a professional would be. Your thoughts, Mr. Hands?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think as far as like going back to the Lean versus Koke thing, I think last year, especially towards the end of the year, I think Lee was kind of pushing Koke. Again, really good shot stopper. And I think this year, Koke was playing really, really well. And then obviously this injury really sucks. I think Lee's kind of been inconsistent, but like we know how good he is. Given, everything we've seen from him, how good he can be. So this was only one game, and obviously like I expect him to kind of bounce back. And, I got Louisville coming up, and that's where he was incredible last year at Louisville during that win in the regular season. So hopefully there's some good mojo there, and he can get back on track. But yeah, I think it's an important time for him now with Koke out, whether it's for us or whether it's, showing what he can do for other clubs eventually down the line, whether that be other USL Championship teams or MLS, like you said, somewhere overseas, maybe back in Australia. I mean, he's got a lot of, I'm sure he can go anywhere, really. I think he's he's really good. He's a really good goalkeeper. I just think, disappointing performance last game, but I mean, really the whole team was disappointing. So,
well, even kind of going back to the U.S. Open Cup game, and I think, just as a competitor, the goal that was lit up against the Revs is one he would wish to get back. I think that goal gets saved. And Irvin, you can hop in on this one too, but I think he saves that goal 99 out of 100 times. And that's something that's got to be in the back of his head. I think that this is another example of that. It's a goal that, he's expecting himself to stay saved, and that he would hope to get each and every time.
Yeah, no, I mean I think if we can all remember, like those two the two US Cup goals were just, I feel like I even said it like a lot. They were easy, fluky goals. Like those were just tap-ins that I feel like the goalkeeper definitely would have had if he just positioned himself better. But I mean, again, these things happen. Those are like cheap shots, and I feel like, those could have been the ones that he would have saved, and the game could have turned out differently. We literally turned out. Now look at the goal that we scored. Maxi scored. That was a freaking goal. That was a banger goal, literally to the side. The goalkeeper, I think a lot of goalkeepers definitely 9.5 times out of 10, they definitely wouldn't have saved that. And
sure.
But those other two goals, those could have been saved, but those are fluky goals. Those are hard to stop, but they definitely could have been stopped. A lot easier than, say, the one that Maxi hit. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that I feel like I have very much confidence in Lee. I think we just need to let this thing roll. I mean, he hasn't failed us yet in Jägermeister. I don't see him failing us here in the regular season, and he wants it. He's hungry for it, so I don't see him screwing up. He knows he fucked up, so he's definitely going to put in the work.
No, right on. Martin says in the chat, I went back recently and watched your first videos of Matt. If anyone in the chat hasn't, you should have seen them. I would highly advise against that. It was just me talking to a camera, being pretty stupid. And then our guy Jason at Pawtucket J says, I think the more consistent play, he'll play better. And that goes back to my comment about, kind of being a backup keeper or backup catcher in baseball, if you will. Being that backup where, the ball is getting into your hands more so than any position in any of the sports, I think is one of the hardest things to do, because it's so based on reaction time and, different bounces, different plays, and you can only simulate so much of that in training, and we'll go from there. But, overall, I think it's one that we all think could be better. The whole setup, the fall leading to it. Like I said, I loved Haraval's passion getting that yellow card. I'm all for it. I was a shit talker playing sports, so to see Haraval kind of belly up to the ref and get in his face, and I knew the card was coming as soon as he did it. God only knows what he said to him. But kind of talking to a few of the players post match, I said, like, "What'd you guys think of the fall? Like, what did you think of the fall that led up to that?" And it's the standard of USL Championship officials. Officiating was kind of the broad response that I got. I will add that one telling response when we were in Portland and I was sitting next to a few of the players unavailable for selection. I asked them, was the NCAA officiating better or the USL Championship? And they all to a man said the USL Championship by far. So I think it just speaks to kind of officiating of this sport in this country. You're looking at a guy who had a sub in 2 weekends in a row and do it. It's just not like, it's not being filled in, it's not being taught correctly. It's kind of a dying art. I did basketball for 10 years at a pretty high level, and officiating is something you kind of have or you don't. And I just think that not enough people are getting into officiating soccer in general at the youth levels and kind of advancing through the ranks, through high school, through college, through pro, semi-pro, and pro, because of all the shit that people give them. Parents, fans, it's absolutely mental to officiate any sport in this country, just because of the whole pay-to-play model going on at the junior ranks and all of that. I'm always the first to take Twitter and criticize the refs after this one. And one of the refs trolls called me out on it today for that. But, I think the officiating needs to get better in this country as a whole. And that's kind of like my soapbox that I'll stand on, for that one. But final stats for this had RIFC controlling possession at 63%. We outshot Miami 13-12. We had 6 on target, 5 for Miami. Both teams with 0 big chances, 398 accurate passes at 84% for RIFC to 224 at 77% for Miami. 13 falls committed for RIFC to 14 for Miami. We had 10 corners to their 5. Irvin, are we ever going to get a Chick-fil-A sandwich for free?
Probably not.
Nah, right?
So I mean, well, listen, like
why didn't they have that at Burn? Frank was knocking one in at least every other match, right, Hans?
We weren't close enough to Attleboro to have Chick-fil-A come through. But
Chick-fil-A in Warwick. I don't know. Attleboro, come on.
Yeah, I know. It is weird, definitely. I mean, we are like, listen, the stadium's in Pawtucket. We're closer to Attleboro than we are to Warwick, so
yeah, absolutely.
So fair play on that. But yeah, no, like getting free kicks are not easy. So not free kicks. Corner kicks aren't easy. I mean, they're like the chances of us getting them, it's hard. We definitely need some tall players. From what I could see, we kind of have tall players. I mean, besides Bakibo, that you could clearly see this guy is a freaking giant. Besides him, I don't see a lot of tall enough guys to just hit those. I mean, if they're gonna do corner kicks, I feel like they should be out and then boom, let's see if we could smack some bangers in there. That's my thought about doing them.
Well, we got, Frank and Mabika, I don't know what else we can do. Like, we got the height. Like, those guys, like...
That's two dudes, though. Two dudes.
Yeah, Mabika's 6'6". I think Frank is like 6'4", 6'5". And then, like, I mean, I guess we're missing JJ in there, too, right? For his ability in the air.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, at least with those two center backs, like... Yeah, I don't know how the hell we haven't scored it off a corner.
Right. The height is just there.
And like the service has been decent too. Like Aladir always puts a good ball in. Maxi, I think, takes some of them, and he does well too. So like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know if it's just like we need a set piece coach or a new set piece coach maybe. All
Yeah.
this talk of sacking people. Maybe the set piece coach is what we need to actually do.
Maybe it's the technical staff we got to start looking at. Huh?
Yeah.
I have
We know their
millions
names
of
'cause
all
of,
of their
Club
cards on Club Collector.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jason in the chat. While I still remember it, got to give Matt props for his lines. You're still on your mom's cell phone plan. That was one of my chants to my guy Bill, the keeper there in the jest of I think it's a San Francisco Giants fan who heckles the outfield players and ends it with "you bum." So my shout out to Bill Hamid was "You're still on your mom's cell phone plan, you bum," and everyone bought in. So that was a feather in the cap moment, absolutely there. But let's talk substitutions on this one because I found them pretty intriguing. The first two subs that came on were Isaac and Joe Brito, and they came on for Maxi and Chico in the 63rd. And then we saw Karife Yao come in the 73rd, replacing Zach Haraval. And I thought Haraval was having a very good game throughout this one. And I thought that, obviously we're very limited on what we can bring on attacking wise to transform a game without JJ's injury. I think the two and with the Quizera obviously on international duty, but I think two of the biggest offensive or attacking threats came on in that first move with Brito and with Isaac being fully healthy, but bringing out another center back and taking out Haraval, who was kind of controlling the midfield along with Amos, had a very good game in there. I found pretty interesting because we've seen Haraval slide back and slot back into a center back position for this team quite a few times this season. So, Irvin, obviously, we're like I said, we're kind of handcuffed on this, but what'd you make about bringing Haraval on this one?
I mean, yeah, I don't really like that we took him out. I think we probably could have kept him. I think if Isaac definitely going in was good for sure.
I think at this point, Temu just to kind of fill out like the rest of the subs, Temu came on in the 87. So if you're gonna bring Zach out, like he would have been a more like for like sub on this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to throw on another center back was what I found most interesting.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I don't get. Like when we're down a man, you don't want to just like play defensive. We shouldn't be playing defensive. We should be attacking. We should be like
chasing it.
Some elbows up. Come on, like time to really put in the work and like really see if you can get that sneaky goal in there. Because I mean, in the end of the day, a goal is a goal. I don't care how you get it. A goal is a goal. Whether it's a stupid goal was a nice banger, it doesn't really matter. But like you should be fighting for it. So like. Taimu would have been good. Putting in Isaac in there definitely great, but like just to bring in bring in another center back is just like all right. Well, let's see how this goes. But like we don't need the defense right now. We need to hammer it in.
Hans, your thoughts on the subs?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's exactly what you were saying about why you're bringing on a center back for a midfielder. Like I don't get.
Well, especially a midfielder who can slot back and play that same role.
Which he was doing during the game. I felt like during the game too, like, if Ryan were here, he'd be speaking a lot about positional play. But the guys we talked about it from up in 205, but yeah, the guys were like rotating all over the field. But I definitely saw Zach in the back line at times. And I don't get why, like, if you want to bring Zach out because he's on the yellow or tired, you want to rest him for next game or whatever the case may be. I don't know why you wouldn't just bring on Taimu at that point rather than Yao. I don't know if it's just like lack of confidence in Taimu, which would be interesting because, he started the first game of the season. Taimu did. So surprisingly to a lot of us, so it seemed like he had a lot of Kyle had a lot of faith in him early. So I don't know why, what happened to why you wouldn't just bring him on for Zach if you want to make that substitution or take Zach off. So yeah, it didn't make sense to me. But yeah, and then also you're right about the whole not having the other attacking guys to come on, like Isaac and Brito are what we have at this point. And Brito's kind of to me is like a moments of magic type player where he'll do something amazing once in a while, but I don't think there's a consistency there. And then for Isaac in this game, like awesome to see him back, but obviously it's his first game back, so you can't expect a lot out of him, in his first 30 minutes or so, or however long.
I expected him just to get a few touches in, feel comfortable getting
Yeah.
back in there, but I
Right.
was not expecting like, oh man, he's gonna come in and score some bangers. I was expecting him like,
yeah.
hey, don't get hurt again.
To that
Right,
point,
right.
Irvin, I found it very interesting that he took the free kick at the edge of the box. You know, it was almost like it was kind of scripted. Like, let's get the RI kid the shot at the edge of the box on the free kick. He hit the wall. Timmy and I, obviously being Spurs fans, it was very much Eriksson in his last season at Spurs we talked about. But if that ball had found the back of the net, you had to expect Tidewater would have erupted.
Oh hell yeah! I think we would have popped all the smokes we had. Just for the RIC boys.
Did you kind of see that as like bringing on a sub to take a free kick, let alone a sub who's been out for months or a year almost, essentially, kind of an interesting call there. Obviously, like we don't see what they do at training, and Isaac, I think Isaac is super talented. He might be a free kick maestro at training, but I think it was almost it was more about like the shock value of what would have happened if he scored.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, like, from the little videos that we get from the social media group, and that's something that has to change. Wink, wink. Yeah, that's we don't know what goes down in training. Maybe we shouldn't be seeing what's going down in training. When it comes to like those free kick set pieces,
Sure.
but like you never know if coach sees I'm like, yeah, all right, you know what, like you seem to be pretty good at free kicks. We're getting a lot of these, so let's just get in there, get some minutes in there, get warm, get ready, and then just go out and try to do something. To give it to him, it might have been a little bit scripted, maybe just a little bit like, what, if this kid
And,
from
and
RI
I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that.
But he probably just put in the work during training and just like really showed people that he could do it. So like, I mean, we don't know what's going on. So to have him out there, I'm just happy that he's good. So like, I think that like we'll see how it goes. I mean, if he takes another free kick again, then we can start to see like, okay, they're definitely training him for this.
Sure.
So we understand.
Yeah, if I can butt in, I think on the free kicks, like, I don't know, the scripted he's from RI thing. I would hope that wasn't the case. I actually wouldn't be okay with that if you're losing 1-0 to be like, oh, let's just throw this. Like, if you're up by a couple goals, sure, but no, you would think that like Clay would be on free kicks, given I just from a fan perspective, given how
He scores bangers.
The ball. Yeah, how well he can hit the ball. And again, Ryan and I. So we were all up in because they're of the weather. We were able to move up into first row. So me and Timmy and we were all in Ryan. All of us were like next to each other. So I was talking to Ryan a lot, and we were talking about like why Clay doesn't take those, and probably because like they want him to be the last man back, because he's probably the best we have at
fair shout.
We're gonna have everyone up forward at tracking back, which still gives me flashbacks to the final last year. I hate to bring that up, but we got scored on that way last season because he had in the final because he was chasing back and couldn't quite make it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll, like Irvin said, we're not there in training, so I don't know who in training is banging them in. But if Isaac can do it, let him do it.
No, absolutely. We'll switch gears a little bit, and we'll take a look at some of the social responses we got. And we'll start with the Defiant 1636 Discord, and none other than our awkward friend, Mr. Timmy Sclafani, who had good. The Apex awning tailgate is good fun. He failed to call that the overhang party, which it was so aptly dubbed by everyone who yelled, "Welcome to the overhang party."
I would every time I saw somebody new, I was telling them, "Welcome to the overhang party. What's up? Grab a drink."
That's exactly what I said. I said not to be confused with tomorrow's hangover party. But here we are. He also had his bad everything, his ugly everything, and his RIFC in 3 was "We Look Lost." His RIFC in 3 number 2 was "My Emotional Reaction." Timmy looks lost on everything, so I think that's kind of all encompassing. And
True.
While I'm on Timmy, I got to shout him and Andrew Quadros out for the latest Tide Talk episode of Double Pivot. The two of them, I think it was very much a step outside of both of their comfort zones to kind of put on such a long production, and they absolutely killed it. It was really good, and if you haven't checked it out, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and go click it. It's such a good video, and it's a pretty cool breakdown, very conversational. They did an absolutely amazing job with it. But we'll go next to Ryan, who at his good was still not giving up a lot of chances, Bad everything in the final third. Ugly calling a game. Goals galore on the scheduled release. This one just kind of set itself up for failure. Kind of with that. His RIFC in 3 was, I'm very concerned. Our good friend Leo O had good. Amos continues making his case to be our Roy Kent, as we touched upon there. As bad was the inability to take advantage of an occasionally shaky Miami back line. Their back line did not inspire confidence, so that's a really good call out from Leo. Ugly was struggles with winning second balls and aerial duels in the midfield, killing our ability to hold pressure in transition. That's another really, really good shout. RAFC in 3 goals, not galore. Tyler had nothing feels good and breath's a clown for his 2 RAFCs in 3. Mr. Hans, you had you're good as Amos, you're bad as Jackson Lee, you're ugly 2 points in 4 games at home, and in 3 goals no more. And in parentheses, not galore. Pretty special there. Timmy said that when I say I planned everything that I ate, and when I ate it yesterday around that pretzel stand, I'm not exaggerating. He was very upset that the pretzel stand, was not open. He rewatched, and this was kind of his good, bad, and ugly after rewatching. His good was Zach, Amos, and Maxie. His bad was Miller Lights are not amber pale ales, and the pretzel stand being closed. And his ugly 3 losses and 2 draws at home with only 2 goals scored. Lisa V commented with Pretzelgate 2025. So a lot of good takes in the Defiant 1636 Discord on Instagram. We had, of course, my page switched. So give me 1 sec. We had Just a Gutta in 3. Ugh, what happened? Booth Hill Brewing had cannot finish. His good was solid passing and possession, bad mediocre crosses, and allowing another weak goal, and ugly continued garbage weather and 0 wins at home. The legendary 006 need more goals was RFC in 3. Good shots on net. Defense looks better. Bad the way we gave up the goal. Ugly fans starting to turn on the team and call for heads to roll. More on that for sure to come. And on Facebook, Chris Peterson had completely different Miami and Rhode Island as another 3. Jason Demers had I'm just sad. I feel you, Jason. I'm sad after this one. I'm bothered by this one. Larry Brown had no sense. Urgency with an apostrophe. So he made it work. We'll give him credit for 3 words there. And Clayton Novak had need JJ. So JJ has 2 separate words. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. We definitely love reading these and, kind of sharing those out. But Irvin, I'll start with you in this one. As, somebody mentioned on their take, kind of seeing fans turn on this team. And I posted in the Defiant 1636 Discord today about, these are our players. We have to back them. They're humans. These are our coaches, our players. We have to back them. They're human. They read stuff. They listen to stuff. They are very much aware of the soccer environment and social media environment surrounding this team and the community here in Rhode Island. And I like to think of it as a very positive one to begin with. But there's been a lot of hate, a lot of vitriol, if you will, kind of thrown at players, coaches, after the last couple of results. But, it bothers me because, you read Chico's Instagram story a couple weeks back and, kind of how he takes it to heart. And these are our players. They won us an Eastern Conference Championship last year. We want to back them. We want to get behind them. You call them over post-match to the supporter section to kind of speak to them. So give us your thoughts on, kind of the hate that's been kind of thrown out there and strewn out there, if you will, and what we need to do better as supporters as far as backing this team.
No, yeah. I might go a little lengthy on this, but I think
you got it. That's why we brought you on tonight, baby.
Yeah, so let me just say that first I'd like to thank everybody that actually was there at the game. I know it was a downpour. I don't care what anybody says. When you plan to go to a game,
I wore a bathing suit.
Yeah, I see it. When you plan to go to a game, you kind of look at the first 3 hours and you see how it goes. It doesn't matter when the game starts or goes down. If it's dangerous, if it's downpouring wise, like most people aren't going to go. So the fact that there are sickos that went to that game and we had a 7,500 game, it was great. fantastic. I applaud you guys, and our section was rocking. La Banda was doing its thing for the 90 minutes. As always, we were popping them smokes, having fun, and getting the juniors in there with us as well. So that's the thing that I love the most, getting those young kids having fun with us. Even the bus ride there, because we took the bus instead of did the march. That was fun. I don't know about you, but that
was so
that
much fun.
That was fun.
I was on that bus. Oh.
You can actually go on the Tide Talk Instagram if you're listening or watching this, and kind of catch that. Ride.
We did a few new chants that definitely had a lot of parents going, "Ooh." So yeah. It rhymes with honey mama. But all jokes aside, we had a lot of fun there. But onto the serious take. After the 90 minutes, we told La Banda, stop, absolutely stop. Stop it, please, for the love of God, stop. No more chanting, no more waving flags, stop it. And we called over the players. Everybody was telling me, like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna know. We need to talk to them now. I think now it's the time to talk to them. So we after Amos accepted his award, we told everybody, get over here now. I don't care. And we had a few people from the front office like, hey, I don't think they're gonna go over there. It's like, no, I don't care. I want them here now. And I think as leader of La Barra, I want them to understand, like, it doesn't come from hate. It comes from the passion. We love everyone that plays here. We have no ill will towards nobody. And the people that want to talk shit on Twitter or with 61 followers or with 185 followers, like, no son fanáticos. And that's what I say. Like, they're not fans. They're not there with us. They're not here chanting and doing it. They're not season ticket holders. They're not there with us. And I will say it to the bottom of my heart. If you're not there with us, no hablas. Get the fuck out of the way. No hablas. If you want to stay on Twitter and talk through behind the screen, ahí quédate. I don't care. But to me, that's being a proper hinchada. That's being a proper fanatic. Actually telling them to their face instead of behind a screen with 160 characters. That's not how you do it. You go in front of them and you tell them, this is not right. When you come to the house, you're supposed to be dominant. You're supposed to show them who's boss. Not let them feel like they're the boss. Now, anytime someone comes over here, then I told Koke to his face. I told Koke, I told Amos, I told Clay, I told Fusan, I told even Isaac. He heard it too. They all got an earful from me and everybody else, but we did it with respect, con respeto. If you don't show respect to your players, why would they give us any respect back? That's what I'm gonna say on that. Now, whatever opinion you have, that's your opinion. That's fine. Whatever you have on there. But if you have an opinion, then you come to say it to their faces and you say it. Otherwise, shut up and stay on Twitter and keep whatever ghost town you have as people listening to you. If anybody listens to you, that's fine. But the real people that are here are Defiance, the people that are in the stands, the people that love this club, the kids that love this place, because they still did Autograph Alley. Even though they even said it to themselves, they didn't want to do it, but they did it for the kids, and that I always respect because they shouldn't be getting the piss taken out of them because they're kids. Ahí están. Go sign. At least give them that. Give them the day. Give them the night. So I'll end it at that. I'll say this: if you have anything to say to them, come to the section and say it.
Right.
Be in there with us and be a part of the hinchada. Otherwise, you're just a fair weather friend that just bought a ticket. If you want to be with us, cómprate con nosotros. Put in the work with us and be a part of it. I accept everybody. Everybody is welcome with Defiance, regardless if you even buy a membership. I don't even care if you buy a membership. I don't care. If you're with us, then you're with us. You're amber and blue through and through. And I always say this, even in Spanish, I'll say, en las buenas, en las malas, which means the good and the bad, we're here for them. Simple as that. Because last year this happened as well, right? And guess what happened? We made it all the way to the finals. They didn't win the finals, but at least they put their hearts in and they made it over there. And we brought 500 motherfuckers to Colo Spigs, and we played to the very end. So that's what I'll say. I have faith in these players. They know they screwed up, and they know they have it in their heads. That's as simple as that. I don't care. Twitter is not real. I don't care. I don't care journalist-wise. You're not there. Si no estás ahí con nosotros, if you're not there with us, cállate la boca. Yeah, por favor.
Absolutely love it. And I'll actually, you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Jason says, much respect for that. Irvin Martin says, thank you, Irvin, for, talking for us. We appreciate you. You tweeted out post-match about how the whole supporters section called them over. Like, you got to take more credit. That was you, Irvin. You were the one that wanted to get them over, and I think it was absolutely necessary to do so. And you look at Amos's reaction on the microphone saying, like, it wasn't fucking good enough. Like, he dropped the mat. I know you tweeted it, and then I'll kick to you in a second.
He even said, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah,
he tried to bring it back. I even said it too. No, say it louder. Say it louder.
Amos dropped the F-bomb on the mic there, knowing he wasn't good enough. You could see it on his face. And, I always kind of think in my head, like, how does it feel to win the paddle, the man of the match when, the match kind of goes the way it did today? It's going to be like kind of like a weird, second place type finish type
I
thing.
will say this, that he didn't even want it, but we said that he deserved it because he won it by a landslide. He like I said, él pone huevos. He put the job in, and even La Banda said he pone huevos. So take it like that, because you earned it. Not anyone else earned it. They didn't walk away with a participation trophy. What they got was an earful from us, from the fans, los fanáticos. They got it. They understand that they screwed up. They understand they screwed up, but now they got to put in the work, and they just show us that they actually understand. As simple as that. But Amos deserved that award.
No, absolutely, 100%. Matt Hands, hop in on this.
Yeah, agree with what Irvin was saying. Of course, very well said. Yeah, I think when it comes to critiquing or criticizing players, or whatever you want to call it, I think a lot of it comes down to there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And I think, calling people's jobs and getting rid of
their
players
livelihood.
and stuff. Yeah, like that I don't agree with. I think, but I do think you can criticize players' performances, especially the players that, we've seen perform better. And I think that goes for, honestly, most of the teams so far. I mean, really off the top of my head, I think Clay's been up to expectations, and Amos has probably surpassed at least my expectations. And, plug for Timmy and Andrew on their show, but they went over that very thing, basically, I know, for all the players, as far as if they exceeded expectations or not in their Glazer Hayes thing. But, yeah, I think a lot of the players haven't lived up to how we know they can play. And so I think, like, from our perspective, or at least from me, I'm just some fan, some idiot who writes blogs. But me, when I'm writing stuff, I feel like, I try to be as reasonable as I can be. And I think you can still criticize players in a way where, again, we've seen better from them. We know they can play better. It goes for, a lot of, obviously Deco's gotten a lot of heat, like you were saying recently. He's gotten that heat. He had that Instagram post, and I think it's something that, he probably deserves some of the criticism there, but I think for most of us, it's all from a good place. Again, it's supporting the players, knowing they can play better, and that's just what it is. And I think we can call out performances, and there's a way to do it without going overboard. And I think that as long as we continue to do that, it's good. That's what you got to do, and not hide, like Irvin said, hide on Twitter and not show up to games and all that. It's not the way to go about it. So.
I think that's well said, Hands. Obviously, with coming on here every week, and yourself and Timmy doing the blogs every week, Andrew doing his blogs, and I'll speak for Ryan on this as well. You come on here, you talk about this team. Obviously, there's going to be moments where you need to criticize performances, and there's a way to criticize the performance where you talk about a play or two or whatever it might be. Obviously, we did it with Jackson with the goal and everything that led up to that today. But one thing that I've always kind of prided myself upon and Tide Talk upon is we do it in a professional, conversational manner. And there's a certain kind of art to that. You don't want to belittle anyone. These are human beings. These are guys going out there making their livelihoods playing the sport that they love, which is an absolute incredible dream to kind of chase down, throughout your career trajectory. Anyone who knows me from, tailgating to being at the games, I am as passionate as they come and, support this team as they come. But I will never berate a guy and call for their job just for the sake of doing it. I will criticize a component of a performance that might need to be criticized, and there's totally fine points in doing so. But to attack the person and, call for their job, call for their livelihood is simply not what being a fan of any kind of team is. And I know in other leagues, and Twitter is so toxic, as somebody said in the chat, that people go over, over the top with it as far as doing that. But like, this is our team. This is our club. They took us on one hell of a ride. I think in my mind, there was always going to be a little bit of a sophomore slump, if you will. You see it in so many sports. Teams kind of get figured out. Things happen. Injuries happen, as we're seeing now with this team. But to stop criticizing individual moments, individual performances, in aspects of performances, and start criticizing the people that they are is truly wrong. That's not what being a fan is. That's not what that's being about. If you want to be a fan like that, go support the team up the road in Foxborough. I think some people kind of apply that same mindset. And I was never a big Revs fan. I've only gone to a handful of games over the years. But I think a lot of people are kind of bringing that vitriol and that kind of shit takes that they bring to that team to RIFC, and that's not what this team is about. This team is more about the community aspect. It's about growing the game in the state. It's about growing the game at a different level. I fully agree. Within 10 years, the USL Championship will surpass the MLS. Once they add in, relegation, promotion, it's going to add so much more to the supporter culture, the meaning behind the game. And, I just think that back your team, support your team. If not, this might not be the team for you. And I think we kind of saw a lot of this weekend. And there's some people that should probably really be going on and supporting that team up the road based on, their previous takes and whatnot. But don't bring those takes here. It's not what it is. Let's continue to grow this thing. Let's continue to grow this game. And, appreciate everyone who listens to us and all of the stuff that we talk about. And like I said, I think we do it in a, we criticize what needs to be criticized, but we don't take it over the top. And, I'll always pride us on what we do, what we say, as far as going that. But before we sign off, any final thoughts you want to share with us, Irvin? Based on last night, based on, kind of the fallout, everything we've seen from this?
No, I mean, like I said, I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I know a lot of people have come up to me and they're grateful about the supporter group. They're grateful about the community that we've built. But in reality, I always tell them, thank you for being a part of it. In the end of the day, I've said it that this isn't for me. This isn't my ego trip. I don't want to be the face of everything. In the end of the day, the face is the people that are in the stands, the people that are playing the drums, the people that are singing with us, waving the flags. Those are the true colors of Defiance. Those are the true people that actually own this supporter group. I don't own it. I run it, and I make sure that you guys get what you need because everybody deserves it. Everybody who supports RFC deserves a proper supporter group, a proper hinchada, a proper barra. So to me, I'm honored and grateful to run it. I'm honored and grateful to hear people say that they love it and enjoy it. And I just want like-minded people to just come and support this club, regardless of shitty takes, regardless of whatever. I mean, we like this team. We're gonna criticize it. I mean, like every team gets criticized. The fans criticize it, but guess what? The one thing that they don't do is they don't stop showing up. They show up to the games. They take their takes out. I mean, that's what it is, right? That's sport. You yell at the players, you do what you think, but then you go home and then you come back and do the next week. You never stop loving this club because that's your local club. If you're a proper Rhode Islander, you're a proper person here, you love Rhode Island, then you love Rhode Island FC. If you stop loving Rhode Island FC, then guess what? Then you've never loved it before.
I think that's
that. And
really well said. I think one of my favorite Defiant 1636 stickers is Rhode Island till I die. Obviously, you being a born and bred Rhode Islander like myself, you don't get the fuck out of here.
No, you don't. You're here because listen. You're either here because you were born here, and I was grateful enough to been born here in Rhode Island, and like most people were born women and infants, downtown Providence, right off Eddy Street. And then, but for me, I was taken back to my country in Guatemala. Like I was there for many years. But guess what? I came back. I'm here. I went to elementary school here, middle school here, high school. Then I went to college. I got my degree here. All my friends are here. My familia's here. Everyone's here. My family immigrated here. My dad's here. My mom's here. Everyone who I love. The girl that I eventually will marry is here too. So I don't care what people want to say about up the road, and like, they can talk their shit all they want. I mean, that's why they call it mass holes anyway, right? That's whatever. But to come here and you could criticize all you want. I will never say don't criticize. That's, you have your voice. That's your right to criticize. But there's a difference. You criticize with torture and pain, then you never loved it. That's, you're not, and mind you, and just to remind everybody, this team is 2 years old. Somos bebés. We're children in the span of up the road is 30 years. There's a very difference. As much as we want to talk shit, there's a high difference. But guess what? Well, eventually we'll get there. We'll grow. The community will grow. The people will grow. The people will fall in love with it the same way they loved McCoy, the same way they loved the local teams here. As simple as that. This is, for us, this is gonna grow, and we should love it. We could criticize it all we want. That's fine. That is sports. That's fine. But to show hate like that and to ask for people's throats, that's not right. That's not right for sure. These are humans in the end of the day that we love and we care for on the field. Simple as that. We're here for them and they're here for us. They play for the badge, and that's as simple as that. I always say they're playing for the badge. If they don't want to play for the badge, they take the fucking shirt off and go. That's as simple as that. And that goes for the same thing with the fans. If you're not here for us, take it off and go. Date. There's other soccer teams. Go. See if you can find one. Go. Date. But right here, we're here to love it. We're here. We love it until the end. Hasta mi muero. You put me in the grave. You put me in the grave with amber and blue. That's as simple as that.
That's it. Extremely well said. Absolutely support it. Criticize moments, criticize things that happen. Don't criticize the people, attack the people behind it. Really cool. Before I kick it to you, Hans, to wrap it up, from Martin in the chat. I'm English, but I moved to the US in 2001. Been missing live soccer, watching on TV, not the same. RIFC is my team now. So cool to see someone from over the pond come find their passion back here in Rhode Island. But before we do sign off, Hans, give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. On that Martin's comment, I'm interested to know what English team he supports. If I'm not sure if you ever said that yet, but no. As for RFC, and the fandom and everything, I think a lot of what Irvin said, right? Like, you can criticize the team and or criticize performances and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like, we're gonna show up and be there. They're going to be there in, 116 in, the supporter section, me and some of the Tide Talk guys up in 205, season ticket holders, we're going to be there and support the team no matter what. And I think, Arsenal. Okay. I see Martin's comment. Yeah, that's more. Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
he's down. He's down now.
That's funny. But no, I think, like I was saying, I think we're going to, we're going to be there no matter what. And, like Matt was saying too, like, it's Rhode Island until I die, like, we've been,
I ain't ever getting out of here.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I've been born in Rhode Island. I've always been in Rhode Island, and, that's part of what drew me to the team. Like, that team up the road, like, I've probably been to a handful of games over the years in the past and, followed them. I never, watched every game every season or anything like that, or made sure to do that like I would with, other sports and whatever. And obviously with RIFC, because I never really felt that connection. And for RIFC, like, I obviously do. Like, it's the team, like, for Rhode Island. It feels very local. I think that's something that the
your
USL
weekend revolves around it, right? Like, you played your whole weekend based on one day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of home games coming up too, especially. So we're going to be going to a lot of those. And
as Kelly reminds me every day.
Yeah, and for us doing content, like, we got so much stuff coming. We got the game on Wednesday. I'm writing something for, and we're doing, like, obviously you guys doing the pod, and, like, Timmy writing blogs, Quadro's monthly writing blogs, them doing their show. Like, a lot of our lives revolve around this team outside of, like, work life and family life. It's this team. And, it just means a lot to me as a fan. And, like, I'm always going to be there. And again, I'll criticize the performances and decisions. And, like, that's part of the game. That's part of the fun. Honestly, is for me is like analyzing what's going on the field and to my little extent of knowledge compared to what the coaches and the real tacticos have that do it for a living. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll always be there. And I think that I was saying the USL does this, I think a lot better than MLS. Like Matt was saying, I think the pro rel thing is going to really help out, and it's going to really it's going to make this league a lot more like everywhere else in the world, right? And soccer as it should be, rather than trying to be the NFL of soccer like MLS tries to do. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to that, and yeah, supporting the team for the rest of my life and having kids and grandkids and going to games. So that's where I'm at.
Matt Hands is having more kids. You heard it tonight. Before we sign off, I do have to take a shot at Martin, who said, I went to a few Revs games, but fans were so spread out. There was no atmosphere. Obviously, much like the Emirates. Thank you, Ryan. Hopefully you liked that last comment, that last jab on the way out. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. Thanks to Irvin and Matt for joining. A lot of good takes. Thanks to everyone for contributing to the chat. It's what really makes the show what it is. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of those accounts. Again, I've been your host, Matt, for Matt Hands and El Presidente Irvin joining us. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Tide.